Hello everyone. Hello everyone. I'm going to tell you about Linux system administration. This is basically introduction to Linux, where we tell you about Linux, as in you are going to use Linux for the first time. Okay. Now, there are some essential considerations. It is not only about Linux. There is no need for us to become Linux experts. What is important for us to become very good in Linux, so that we can use Linux for system development, system software, network development, not network software, device driver development, embedded Linux development, and any other software development, little bit of system administration, little bit of network administration. So that is what is required for you to be able to do in Linux. And today I'm going to introduce you to Linux, and I'm going to tell you about some utilities that you use in Linux, which are essential for you to start working in Linux basics. So very first thing about we have to understand is why do we have embedded Linux? Why do we have Linux today in all the embedded devices, electronic devices, electromechanical devices? Why do we have operating systems? It was not required few years earlier back. Today, the most of the functionality of embedded systems are implemented in software. Some embedded devices, electromechanical devices today, have operating systems. Why so? So normally we have a simple device in which there is one process always running. The one process that always runs in this device, this one process is the sole owner of the device, and it is the only process that uses the device, and no other program is executing in your device. So your device is not a shared device, it is kind of exclusive. Each and every hardware software resources that are available in this processor are actually in this device are exclusively available for this process for usage. So as there is only one process executing, no sharing is happening. You don't need any manager in there to do resource allocation, deallocation. All the resources are there only and only for the single executing program. So therefore no operating systems are required, and a simple microcontrollers would be more than sufficient to handle this kind of environment. But today the scenario is different. Today the architecture of devices is also different. Okay, today the device's nature and architecture is something like this. Today in an embedded device you will have multiple processes running simultaneously, many processes running simultaneously. All the processes that execute in this one single machine, all the processes, some are slow processes, some are fast processes, and these processes will have their own exclusive resource requirements, and all the resources that are there in the system, the resources are kind of shared resources. So the resource allocation, deallocation, resource sharing, and synchronization, concurrency, handling races, I/O, multiple I/O, multitasking, multiprocessing, all these has to be taken care in a single device, due to which the device becomes slightly complex. So you will need some kind of manager sitting inside the device. The manager that will be there inside the device will be taking care of all these things that I said just now, and we'll see to it that all the processes be able to execute simultaneously in your program. Execute simultaneously. Okay. For that we will need some kind of manager sitting inside the device called embedded operating system. Like you have Android, like you have iOS, like you have other Linux sitting in your set-top boxes. Now, operating system is also a kind of software. All the processes that we're executing in the machine are also software. So therefore the software complexity in your device becomes enormous. Because the software complexity becomes enormous, so ordinary microcontrollers are not able to handle this level of software complexity. So therefore the ordinary microcontrollers are also replaced by embedded processors, like you have ARM, MIPS, PowerPC, Tiger Shark, Freescale, and this is the technology that is being used in the industry today. So we established this fact that we need embedded operating systems inside the embedded devices today, because there is multitasking happening inside the devices today, isn't it? So therefore, when we know that we have to use operating system, then we use which operating system? Well, we think about Linux. Okay. Linux. We use Linux. Why Linux? We have to understand that why I spoke about Linux. That the moment we established that we need some operating system inside the device, suddenly I started talking about Linux. Why Linux? Well, there is history associated with Linux. You will be able to see this history on the EmbLogic website. So why we are using Linux as a choice of operating system of choice is because for certain reasons that are listed here. Okay, but this is history. Linux started 45 years ago, and how it evolved and all, you will be able to see it in the documents, in the notes that I have provided. There I have mentioned a brief history of Linux, how it evolved. So you will be able to see it there. I will come to the technical thing, technical stuff. Linux is being used in all kind of applications because it is everywhere today. Why it is everywhere today? Because of these reasons. Linux is open source. Okay. Open source. Open source means the Linux operating system is visible. Linux operating system is open for all of us to view. Having said that, let me show you the Linux operating system. This is the terminal, which I will introduce you to the terminal in a moment. You will go to the path, user, src, kernel Linux, include, no, not include, init. Here you will find a file called main.c. This is the main file of the Linux operating system. Here is the Linux operating system. I told you Linux is open source. There you see Linux is open source. The Linux operating system. Copyright Linus Torvalds. This is your Linux operating system. Open source. You can see the operating system source code written in total. And because the Linux source code is open for all of us to view, therefore it becomes operating system of choice for all the system developers, device developers, embedded Linux operating system developers all over the world. This was one of the major reasons for us also to choose Linux as an operating system of choice for our training, and we can rely on Linux operating system now to use Linux operating system as a reliable operating system for us, such that we can create our career, build our career on this. There is a function called start_kernel. It is from this function that Linux actually starts. What does it do? It set up the task, what has to be done. It sets up the processor and so on. It will set up everything, boot CPU, and like this it will do everything. This we will study later on in Linux, embedded Linux. So this is one of the primary reasons that Linux is open source, that we are using Linux. Another reason is Linux is free. We don't have to spend anything on licensing unless you go in commercial devices where you do some business by selling Linux. Linux is portable to any hardware platform. It is portable, customizable for all kind of hardware. Okay. It is scalable, means it could be used for the smallest and the largest all kind of devices. These are the primary reasons that we are using Linux for our training and for our career and for designing devices and network protocols. There are some downsides also for Linux, demerits, that there are too many different distributions for Linux. You have Fedora, you have Debian, you have Ubuntu, and blah blah blah, so many. So people get so confused, and they don't get support. They have no support. If in case they have some trouble, some problem, or they are not able to do something, they have nobody to call to. There is no call centers and support system for this. So people are kind of scared to get into this. But that hurdle is away from you. because I'll be there for you. EmbLogic will be there to support you for that. Linux is not a very user friendly because it is primarily designed for development, not for end users. Okay. Now we start working with Linux in a way which is like this from here. The very first thing I tell you about Linux on Fedora is terminal. You see on the top left corner you will have activities. You will go on activities. When you go on activities, then go to this bottom, you see there are 9 dots which shows all the applications. In all the applications, you will find something called utilities. Okay. When you click on utilities, you will see terminal there. So we need to go to this terminal. Okay. When you click on the terminal will open, and the terminal will look like this. A new terminal will open in front of you. So let me start a new Jamboard for you. Jamboard is one board which will be like our whiteboard inside the class, and this will be available for us, available to you all the time, and even after the class you will be able to access the Jamboard in your Google Drive. Okay, so you see here in the chat link, go to the chat, click, you will see there is a link here, jamboard.google.com and the Jamboard ID. You click on this, please. Once you click on this, you will be connected to my Jamboard, and then this Jamboard will be available to you in your Google Drive. I'll share it with you for the first time. Your email ID is Mohammed Nasir. Okay, so the Jamboard is shared with you now. Please click on the link here. Please click on the link in the chat. See here, you see a chat icon. You click on the chat icon. When you click on the chat icon, you will see the chat box opening, and there you have a link, jamboard.google.com. Please click on this. Do you see that? Yes, no? Okay, forget it. Now you see this is a Google Meet window. On the bottom left corner, do you see this T.111.000? So I'm going to tell you about what is this. When you start your terminal, you get a window like this. How do you start your terminal? First of all, to open the terminal, you have to do this. You will go to Linux activities. You see top here, activities. In Linux, when you have to start terminal, you will go to activities. From activities, you will go to these 9 dots and then utilities. Which is show applications. From there you go to utilities. From utilities, you will click to terminal. Your terminal will open. This is your terminal, okay, in which you give commands. Now this terminal shows you something like this: Pravjot at localhost, Pravjot Singh at localhost, tilde sign and dollar sign. Okay, what is this? Here, Pravjot is the username. Pravjot is the username who is currently logged into your machine. @localhost. This localhost. This is the machine name. Machine name. My machine into which we are logged in. After that, you see this tilde sign. This tilde sign. This tilde sign is current working directory, current folder in the terms of Windows where you will be working. Okay, that this is current working directory. But what is the significance of this tilde sign here? Tilde sign means you are in the home directory of the current logged in user. Current logged in user is Prabjot, so you are in the home directory of Prabjot user. Home directory of Prabjot user. Finally, you will see the dollar prompt here. Dollar is a prompt. Dollar prompt means the shell is ready, the terminal is ready for you to give some commands. You can give commands. I'll provide this to you here in the Jamboard for your reference. Okay. Now, in this terminal, when you have to start working, you will give some commands like these commands: who, date, cal, ls. Let us give these commands here. So you start by giving some command. Who. Who is the command which gives you the currently logged in user. Who is the current logged in user? Well, it is Prabjot Singh, current logged in user. Another command, date, is the date is a command which gives you the current date and time. Then another command is cal, calendar, which gives you the current calendar, current day's calendar, current month's calendar. Okay. Then another command is like ls. Ls is list the contents of current directory. It lists the contents of current directory. Current folder के अंदर क्या क्या है. All these things are listed that are there in the current directory. Then another command is pwd, present working directory, which tells you are in which directory. Well, I am in home. From home, I am in Prabjot Singh directory. So these are some basic commands. df, disk file, gives you the partitions that you have in your current machine. So these are some basic commands that we use to start working in Linux, isn't it? Some basic commands. Now you will also practice these basic commands as given here. Now I'll show you some commands and tell you a little bit about file system next. Okay, so that you'll be able to understand how to start working with Linux. Just give me a moment. I'll just copy this for you and make it available to you in your Jamboard so that you can also practice this. Yeah. So these are some basic commands which you will practice later on. Yes. Okay. Now let us try to understand the file system that we have here and how to browse through. You go to activities, and on the left hand side you see in Linux there is something called files. This is nothing but the graphical GUI, graphical user interface, for you to visit various files and folders in your Linux system, just like you have in Windows and any other operating system. Also, you will find this. So it all starts from other locations. In other locations, you will find computer, which has a alias called /, which is called a root. A root is the beginning of the file system. Okay, so you will be able to find this file system here also. cd / enter. See, you have gone to /. So you have gone to /. Here you are at the beginning of the file system. Here also in GUI also you can see you are at the beginning of the file system. So the whole file system in Linux starts from here. File system starts from /, which is have another name. The name is rwt root. Okay, which is here rwt root, which is here rwt root. If you want to go inside this, double click. When you double click, you go inside the slash folder, root folder. Okay, beginning of the file system. On the terminal also you can do this. To go inside the current directory, you will give cd slash. Cd stands for commands change directory. Enter. So you are inside slash. Now in the GUI you are able to see the contents of root folder. Here to see the contents on the terminal you use ls command. Enter. You can see the contents. If you see the contents, you have some important folders here like boot, dev, etc, fonts, home, like this. So let us copy these. Long listing is an ls is the command. This ls is the command to list the contents of current directory. Then you have ll, long listing is another command to list the contents of the current directory, long listing. So here we list the contents of the current directory. Copy and put it here in your Jamboard under root for further discussion. So here you have all the files that are listed under root. We'll discuss this all one by one now. Why you have so many files? No, we need to know that. Why so many files? Why not just one or two files? That would have made your life simpler. So name of the files that you have in here are bin, bkp script, boot. Just have a look at the names. I'm just putting them in order here for a reason that you'll be able to see some properly, and then we'll discuss all this. Dev, then you have etc. Another is fonts. This I have created. You have home folder. You have lib folder. Now why do we have this? I'll tell you here only one by one. I'll keep on arranging and telling you simultaneously. Well, bin is a folder in which you keep all the binaries. I'll give you briefs right now. Description I'll give you in coming classes. Boot is a directory in which you keep all the boot up routines. Dev is a special directory in which all the device files are listed. Okay, etc is a system configuration files are kept here. I think we have network disconnection. Yeah, just hold on. Yeah, there we are. I'm sorry, got disconnected. So you have etc, a special directory, which is used oh, I lost it. etc is a special directory which is used to store all the configuration files. Dev is there it is. So I told you here, user bin. Bin is a special directory that is used for all the system binaries. This backup script that I have created myself. this boot is a directory in which you keep all the boot up routines. Then you have dev, in which you all keep all the device files. In Linux, every device is a file, everything is a file. Fonts is a fonts directory that I have created. Then you have the home directory. This is the current user's home directory, current logged in user's home directory. Then you have lib, where you store some libraries specific to certain applications. This is another lib64, which gives the 64-bit version of the libraries. Lost and found are used for backups. This is used to link to the external media that you've connected to your machine. MNT is used for file systems mounted on the other mounted devices. Then you have OPT for optional software and access to file systems of another operating system. Proc is a pseudo file system, which is software only file system, which is used by us to look into the programs, applications while they are on the run. Root is a exclusive folder for the super user, root user. Okay, like this we have then we have sbin also, in which you have system binaries. Okay, so these are some folders that I used. Some directories that I used. Then you have srv, another directory. Which is not, I'll tell you later. Then you have sys, in which you have all the system related routines and files. tmp for all the temporary files and modules. This is a training folder I have created. This is the user, in which you keep the usr, in which you keep the kernel sources, and var is where, which is used to mount on other file systems. So this is a basic file system architecture, and you can view this using GUI, bin, boot, dev, etc. You can go inside any, suppose you go inside home. So you can go inside home. Inside home you find Prabjot, the user, currently logged in user. Here also ls, you have home. So you want to go inside home, you do cd home, enter, you are inside home. That is how you go inside a directory or a folder. Inside home or directory, you see Prabjot Singh. Here also you do ls, you will see Prabjot Singh. You want to go inside Prabjot Singh, you double click on Prabjot Singh. You are inside Prabjot Singh. Here you want to go inside Prabjot Singh, you do cd Prabjot Singh, enter. List, you are inside Prabjot Singh and you are seeing the contents of Prabjot Singh directory now, like desktop, documents, download music. Like you have desktop, document, download music here. Suppose you want to go inside something. You want to go in documents, training. Suppose you double click, you are inside training, folder is empty. Here you want to go in training, same folder, training, enter. List, the folder is empty. Okay, so that is how you go inside directories using the GUI and using the terminal. Now you want to come out of terminal. Oh, training is empty, you want to go back. So here you click on back icon and you are back in home, isn't it? Prabjot Singh. Here you want to go back, you click on double click cd double dot. Double dot means go back. Okay, so when you go back, you are inside Prabjot Singh directory. Now here also you want to go back, you click on the back icon again, you are in home. Okay, here you want to go back, cd dot dot, enter, you are in home. Here you want to go back, you click on back icon again, you are in root. Here you want to go back, cd dot dot, you are in root. So like this, you will browse through directories. So that is what is given here. To browse through directories, you will use the command here, cd directory name, or last one, cd double dot, to come out of the directory. Okay, so this is how you use directories to go inside and come out of directories, right? So what I'll do today is I will go to a particular directory and particular location and try to create some directory for you, or you try it yourself. There are some more commands like su. Su is for super user, which I'll tell you in the next class. Now I have told you about so many commands. If you want to know about more information about commands, then you can use man pages. Like I told you about a command called ls. You want to know about ls, more about ls. What is ls all about? So you can use man means manual page. For ls, it will tell you all the information about ls, man ls. Okay, there it is, ls, list directory contents. This is a synopsis, this is a description, list information about files. Okay, only the first paragraph is more than sufficient for you to understand what this ls is all about. So you can see that, and then you have man page open right now in front of you. You want to come out of man page, quit Q. You'll be out of man page. So to use the man page, you will do like this. I'll give you information here only. Use man pages to know more about commands. Okay, like this. On the shell, you use man, then command name. Man is a command, so I'll write it in a different line here. Man is a command, and argument to man will be your command. For example, you will use man, and the command is say ls, man ls, add the dollar prompt. Okay, what will happen when you do this? This will open the man page for ls command. Okay, like this, man ls, enter. Now once you are done reading the man page, now you want to quit. Once reading man page is done, then we need to quit man page. You need to quit man page. For that you press Q. The moment you press Q, you're out of man page. So how to quit? Press Q to quit man page. Okay, that is how you work with man page. Okay, so I will not tell much about this today, but in 1 hour from now you will be able to see your documents in the EmbLogic website. Okay, so you'll go to EmbLogic website and you will be able to see your basic documents and a small assignment that you will need to do on your Fedora system today. Okay, immediately after the class today I will put those documents online for you.